Let's see if I can read these a little bit better. I've got it right in front of me this time. I see we've got 4 people here. Hello. I remember to look over there. Like I've never done this before. I'm still not good at live. Anybody on here ever done any stealth camping? Or plan on doing it? Or want to know more about it? Hello. Let me see if I can get it on my other phone. I have trouble sometimes reading these, and if I can get this on my other phone, maybe I can work it out better than usual. Who do we have on here? I'm not seeing a chat. I know we've got some people here. Good afternoon, everybody. Oops. Let's see. Go to my channel, go to the live. Luckily, I can cut some of this out later. Oh, hey, Linda. Gloria. Living by Faith with Benji. Hello. In Miami. Oh, I bet it's warm there. It's warm where I am. Let's see if I can get to the live on this phone. I could read these a little bit easier. Dolores.
We'll know that a Jesus movement is upon us when people
got my other phone going on YouTube. Okay, we're just going to do it this way. Hey, so for those of you who are here now, give me a sign that if you have been stealth camping before, please put a 1 up. Put a 1 and just hit send if you have ever stealth camped. Okay, there's 1. Anybody else ever stealth camped? Has anybody else thought about it? I mean, is that something that you plan to do in the future? Put a 2 up if you plan on doing stealth. There's 2, 3, 4. Young Heart's not going to do it, I take it. Sabra, you have done it before. Put a 2 up if you haven't done it, but you want to do it and you'd like to know more about it. If you'd like to know more, send me a 2. So I have some information for you. Hi, Sylvia and Carol. And, oh, Young Heart wants to know more about it. Okay, so let me tell you my experience last night. Oh boy. I wasn't actually stealth camping. I went to visit my nephew who lives in an apartment. It's a pretty good sized apartment complex. Lots of cars there, plenty big parking lot, you know, room for parking, not a big deal. I didn't consider it stealth camping. I have some very dear friends who are also YouTubers and van lifers who it's their usual MO to go to a neighborhood, just any old neighborhood, and just pick a spot not in front of somebody's house, and they have a little method that they go through, or they'll go to apartments and not park in front of anybody's door. That's the way the rules of stealth camping work. And you should back in case you got to leave in a hurry, right? So you back in. Well, now think about it for just a second. If everybody's pulled in straight and you back in, does that make you stand out a little bit? So I wonder about that as a method. I mean, if somebody was going to block you in, they could pull in front of you, whether you pulled in straight or backed in, right? They could block you if they wanted to. So your best bet is not to stand out and to pull in straight. What do you think about that? I think you've heard some of the rules. What are some of the rules that you've heard of for stealth camping? And when you go stealth camping, because some of you said you have, what are some of the rules you set for yourself? You never back in. Okay, I kind of approve of that, except in, you know, if you're boondocking, if you're out in the wild somewhere, or if you're in like a big Walmart parking lot, I think it makes sense for you to be able to go either way. Yeah, you don't want to stand out. Well, I got the knock last night. It was actually a police officer. Now, if I hadn't known it was a police officer, I would not have opened my door. But I happened to see their car, the police car there, and he was shining his lights in the window. So I thought, well, you know, I'll get out. However, if I did not see that it was a police officer, I would not have opened my door. Where they can pull out fast. But in an apartment, I would think you'd stand out a little. Well, I did. Apparently, I did. Somebody called, but I was a guest. I was a guest of a resident in that apartment complex. My nephew lived there, and the only reason I was there, because I had to drive a few hours to get there, is we pulled out some of my furniture and replaced the floor. Well, not the whole floor in the back, but we replaced the vinyl that's protecting my carpet that's down there. So it was a really great project, and I appreciated it so much. He worked hard and did a beautiful job. So it didn't really change the look of the floor any. It just changed the clear vinyl. Yeah, if you have a motorhome, you're not stealth. Yeah, I don't think you can do that with a motorhome. But anyway, but I have so many friends that's just what they do. But I'm now official nomad. I have gotten the knock. And you know what's odd? It wasn't in the middle of the night. It was at like just before 9 o'clock or right around 9 o'clock last night. Police officer. So what he says is, can I see your identification? Sure, I know people argue with that, but why in the world would you do that? Just give it to him. I think I had one parking ticket one time because there was a rock truck spewing rocks down the road, and I just wanted to get past him, and I wasn't speeding before, so I sped up a little to get around him, and that's when the police officer got me, and that was like 30 years ago. I've never had a parking ticket. I mean, I talk about a clean record. So anyway, he asked for my ID. I gave him that, and he said, and I told him that I was a guest here, and he said, well, can we call him? And I said, well, let's do better. Let's go knock on his door. So I took him over, and we knocked on my nephew's door, and he vouched for me. And, you know, it wasn't even stealth camping, but I got the knock. I can now say I've got the knock. And, you know, when I was thinking about it ahead of time, or, you know, since I started full time, I always thought, well, my heart would be pounding, and oh my gosh, I think I'd have a heart attack if anybody knocked on my door. It wasn't awful. It was not awful. In fact, the guy was really nice. And yes, thank you, Sabra. You got to do it. I mean, that's really part of it. And I've really kind of prided myself on having very few stealth camping episodes in all this almost a year. But my heart wasn't even pounding. I was fine. I think sometimes, and this goes for life, and for those of you who fear certain things in nomad life, the fear of fear is worse than the event. The anticipation of fear is worse than the event you thought you'd fear. Does that make any sense at all? You know, that anticipation, oh my gosh, what am I going to do if I get the knock on the door? And then he knocks on the door and says, okay, hi, how are you doing? It's no big deal. Now, had I been somewhere I wasn't allowed to be, that would have been different. And I only recall two times. And I won't even say where they were in case somebody comes after me. But one time I was in a hospital parking lot. And another time I was in a hotel parking lot. And they went just fine, no problem at all. And other than that, I've always been places where I was welcome. Truck stops, I mean, for free. And, you know, BLM land and boondocking things, you're allowed to be there. And so that's kind of my method. I'd rather be where I know I'm welcome. That's why you find me in truck stops like that last video that I had. Nomads tell me that it's harder to nomad in the eastern part of the U.S. Yes, it is harder to be a nomad in the east. Right now, it's even harder in Florida when you think about it. I know a lot of the state parks were closed to the south of me, and I haven't really checked yet to see if they're all back open. And a lot of locations, you know, got damaged. And that's one thing I want to do before I leave Florida again. Let's see, I'm going to the RTR and the WRTR in January. Then I'm going to come back this way because I just shot off and to the west and really didn't explore in this area, but it is going to be a little tougher. iOverlander helps you find places, but it really isn't the same as out west. I have to admit that now that I have had the experience. But I think it's even more so in Florida right now because of some of the damage that was done. So I want to go back to some of the places that I filmed before I left Florida and kind of do a before and after and see what the damage is. I'm hoping that some of it's been cleaned up by now. Making camping anywhere that is not designated camping area a felony to stay. Yeah, I've heard about that, and I think was Tennessee. Yes, you put that in there. I see now. Tennessee recently passed it. Yeah, I think I'll probably avoid Tennessee, but I wonder what Tennessee says about places that allow it. Does anybody know? Like in Tennessee, is it a crime to be in a truck stop if they allow it? Like that last one in my last video I showed, where you're allowed to stay up to 24 hours. They don't mind people staying that are passing through. In fact, I was told by someone that worked there that they look at license plates. If it's a local license plate, they consider you more of a homeless person or something, and they don't want you staying. If they know you're traveling through, you're welcome to stay. In fact, that time I had to have my car towed because of mouse damage. I went in and talked to them. The lady there was so sweet. She said, sure, because it was a weekend. I think it was a Friday, and their service department, it was already closed and it wasn't going to open till Monday. And she knew that I would be there. And the first thing she asked me was, what state was my license plate from? And since it was Florida, she said, oh, that's fine. I'll tell security, which I didn't even know they had security. But yeah, other states, it was because other states buy a one-way ticket to Nashville, which has caused huge homeless problem. Oh, under the bridge downtown. Yeah, I can understand the homeless thing. Well, I don't understand the homeless thing, but I mean, I know why they sometimes do that. They get a little overwhelmed by it. Yes, the policeman did say why he was knocking the door. No, they didn't know that I was a woman. I goofed. I shouldn't have backed in. I thought what I was following was advice that I'd gotten before, that you don't park in front of anybody's door. I should have parked in front of my nephew's door, but I didn't. I wanted to leave that area open. So I went around kind of to the side road a little bit, and there was an area where there were no windows, so I wasn't parking and annoying anybody. I thought I was more out of the way, but turns out I would have been better off parking right in front of his door. There was room. That plus I had all my windows covered except for the very back one, and I was watching YouTube videos, and so somebody probably heard me that there was somebody in there. But you know what? It wasn't even 9 o'clock, so I don't really get it. My nephew said it was probably Karen, a Karen. Not that her name was Karen, but she was a Karen. But the policeman was very nice. And I think he saw I wasn't dangerous. I'm pretty sure what do they do? Run the plates or something like that to see if I had a record. I even asked for my nephew's identification just to see, I guess, if we had a record or doing drugs, or if we had a warrant out for our arrest or something like that. But anyway, that's my stealth camping. Confirms my commitment to try not to stealth camp. I mean, if you have fun doing that, if that's a thrill to you, then go right ahead. I think it's just fine for somebody to do it if they want to. I have one of my good YouTuber friends, that's her preferred thing, is to go to a neighborhood or an apartment complex and find a place there. I don't think I want to do that again. In fact, I could have stayed there tonight, and I didn't. I drove for quite a few hours to get here just to talk to you guys. And so I'll be back at my campsite tonight. Cover all windows, no noise, and no lights, or some creep will call. Exactly. That's exactly right. Pretend you're being stealth, even if you're not, if you don't have to be stealth. Just go ahead and do it. It's just a good idea. Just don't cause an issue like I did, that it could have somebody be suspicious. It would have been a lot better if I had been a little quieter and covered all my windows. At least my dogs didn't bark. They were good girls. But I got accomplished fixing my floor. Now I have a lot more work to do before the meetup a week from now. I want to get everything out. I want to really clean underneath, because when you think about it, your house, apartment, wherever you live, all the dirt that gets in there that you track in, say, let's just say for a month, for example, all the dirt that you sweep up for a month and the dust that's on all your furniture for a month. Now you concentrate that down to a minivan and think about how much that is. So you really got to take it apart pretty often and get to the bottom of things. Yes, earphones. Now see, I could have done that. What a great idea. I could have had earphones and no one would have known. My window covers are really, really good. I mean, if I put them up right, if I take care and put them up correctly, you can't see any light from the outside. I mean, they really do a good job of blacking it out. So just a cell phone on, I think I could have all the lights on and you'd have to really look close. But just a cell phone, no one would have noticed that was my fault, because I felt like I wasn't stealth camping. I was allowed to be there. I can't afford, so I have to stay west and use federal lands. Unfortunately, that's not so terrible. Unfortunate. I mean, you know, it would be more freedom if we could just go everywhere. There was a rumor that Cracker Barrels were not allowing people anymore. But I've been to several since I heard that, and I know there are some that don't allow it. There were 2 that I stayed in Florida before I left Florida that did not allow campers overnight in their parking lot. And it wasn't because they didn't want campers there. And they told me that. It was because the neighborhood had accumulated some crime. And so they were protecting the RVers. They really did want them there, but they didn't want them to stay overnight because of crime. But other than that, I've recently stayed in several, and every time I've asked, they always say, of course, you're welcome. Just, you know, don't park right in front, you know, leave room for customers, because they know we spend money there. I do. Yeah, there are places in Florida, and you really have to look for them. And of course, I think I've said before that I don't really trust Walmart. And I've said before too that I look for places that other campers are, where I feel safe. Anybody else do any stealth camping that went wrong like mine did? Which, again, I didn't feel like it was stealth, but anybody else do any that? Anybody else get a knock on the window? Tell me about it. I don't think it happens that often, really. Not if you're careful. I mean, I've gone 10 or 11 months now and finally got one. So I don't think it happens that often. Yeah, I can't really afford campgrounds ordinarily, but while I'm in Florida, I actually have a campground because it's hard to find places to stealth camp. Love meeting nomads in the West. They're usually all great people. Yeah, return to sender. Nomads that I've met everywhere are terrific. I was just talking to a lady at the campground that I'm at now about, she's still working full-time. She lives in Florida and she goes camping on the weekends, mostly in Florida and at campgrounds. And we were talking about how great nomads and just campers are. I mean, they're all out there because pretty much for the same reason. They just want to have a good time. They're very open and friendly. And I was, like I said, I was not in my campground last night. I was in an apartment complex. And this weekend, I know that the campground I'm at had a Halloween event. And they had 26 families with kids and dogs, and I think it's going to be chaos when I get back there, because there'll be so many people there. And Yeah, I could not have afforded this trip that I've been on for the last year if I had to pay for campgrounds everywhere I went. Absolutely couldn't. Plus, since I was traveling every day, I traveled 200 or 300 miles or 2 or 3 hours, however it worked out. Most of the time, I didn't travel much farther than that, but it was every day. My theory was that I wanted to get to my best next location, and I would usually have like 2 or 3 options. And let's say I was going to, I don't know, pick a big one, the Grand Canyon. And between here and there, I would pick locations that I thought I might be able to stay overnight. And if I wanted to stay in a certain town, I would make sure there were 2 or 3 options in that town, like a Flying J and a Love's and a Cracker Barrel. That would be my preference, to have a choice of 3 different things. And then if one didn't work out, then you've got another one there. And that was the way I preferred to travel. In Florida, you don't usually have that many options, so it's a little bit expensive staying here if you've got to pay for a campground. And I won't be able to tell you about mine until after I leave it. But November is going to be an exciting month for this channel. I know it will, because I'm going to be at 2 meetups. One of them with almost 30 women and in 30 vans, and the other one with 100 women in 100 vans in Florida. That one's not my meetup. That one is run by the same woman that did the women's meetup in the group campground that we're going to next weekend. Finally got a knock when you were home. Yeah, isn't that true? I mean, I went all across America and didn't get a knock, and then when I go home, I get a knock at a family member's apartment. Oh well, go figure. That was very benign. As knocks on the door go, that was a very benign knock. So I'm glad my first one was easy. I don't want to get another one though. But now I know it's not the end of the world. You really won't have a heart attack. You'll be okay. They'll, unless you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. But I don't know about Tennessee. I think I might. Maybe I won't spend much time in Tennessee unless I have real plans, like a campsite. Oh, you're going to both of the meetups? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell by your handle what your name is, so you'll have to come up and introduce yourself. That'll be fun. So, what I plan on doing in November, I hope, I don't see why I wouldn't be able to, unless there's not much. Hope there's some Wi-Fi there. My car should be able to pick up some hotspot. But what I'll do is I'll try to upload at least something short every single day. And I want to do van tours I should be doing, between these 2 meetups of 130 vans, I should do enough van tours to last me for a year. That's going to be so much fun. I mean, every last one of them are so different too. So many good ideas from each and every one of them. Joan, you're going to be at the 100 van meetup. Can I do a van tour of your van, of your setup? When I go to these, I am not a YouTuber who will stick a camera in your face without asking first. So if you see me at a meetup, just know that I will ask first, or you can come up and ask me if you want a van tour. Oh, good, Joan, good. One of the things that we're going to talk about at the meetup is if you have ever thought about doing a YouTube channel. And I could do a live chat on that someday if we have some interest in that. Because you can do a YouTube channel just for your own family. You can make it private. Nobody can see it if you'd like to have it private. It's a way to share videos that you take and your family takes, and you can share them back and forth and keep it private. So that's a good thing to do if you don't ever want to make it a YouTube channel. And there are a lot of things that you can do, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to upload. And all I've ever had is my cell phone. That's all. I don't have drones. I don't have I have a tripod or two. You know, I've never used them. The only kind of thing that's similar, it's not a tripod, but I use a windshield mount for my cell phone. And I should get a microphone. I really should. How do I find meetups? Well, this first one in November I started it. That's another way to find one. But if you start a meetup, and most campgrounds, state campgrounds, and there are a lot of places that have group campgrounds. Now, a group campground it's not the same as just any, oops. Oh, I hope I've got you back. Are you still there?
GPS signal lost.
And my car went off. That's my hotspot. Is everybody still there? Somebody say hi. I hope it went back on. Let me see. Back? Oh, good. I'm sorry. I don't even know if it went off or not. That's the first time I've had the car go off while I was trying to do a live. Thank you. Whew. See, my car is a hotspot too, so that's where I'm doing this through the Wi-Fi in my car. Great. Hi, Dolores. Gary. Hey, Gary. Or maybe that's Gina. One of you. Sylvia. Thanks for the thumbs up. Oh, by the way, before you guys leave, you would be doing me a favor if you would go and hit the like button on this video. It helps to YouTube to get it out. But yeah, there will be a lot of content, a lot of great ideas, because even if you see somebody doing something that looks wrong, sometimes you can learn from the people doing things the wrong way as much as you can from people doing things the right way. I've thought about rearranging mine. Today we took everything out on the driver's side, cleaned right down to the original floor and put it back. But because I had to come back to talk to you guys, we didn't get to do the passenger side. So it's kind of piled up over there right now. But that'll be my next big project. Just taking it piece by piece. We did the driver's side. Then I'm going to do the very back, and then I'm going to do the passenger side so it doesn't get overwhelming. Hey, Gina. Gina's going to be at our meetup. She's very experienced. Everything from backpacking to Class A motorhome. So she's very, very experienced. She'll be able to share things with us. Who in here, give me a number one if you are going to the meetup November 6th, 7th, and 8th. How many of you are going to that one? I know of 3 that are here. Anybody that hasn't said hi that's going to that meetup? Oh, and to finish, and while I'm waiting for the number ones for people that are going, how do you find meetups? Somebody asked, and I really didn't finish that question. Hi, Renee. The best way to find meetups is Facebook. Some people don't like Facebook, but if you ask me how to find meetups, that's how you find them. And probably the number one way to be sure of getting meetups is propose one yourself. A meetup can be just a few people getting together at a park for the day. Or it doesn't have to be camping, although that's what I think is nice, at least 3 days. Travel Grandma's was 10 days. Most of them are 3 nights. But you just say, if you get to a Facebook group where you have some things in common with the people, they may be in your area. Look for a Facebook group of, say, women campers if you're in New York. And you'll probably find a group just like that. Hi, Rita. So Facebook is the number one way. And when you find your group that you have something in common with, and then look on their events tab, kind of scroll over to the right and see if they have an event tab. Rita has stealth camped. Rita, have you ever had a knock on the door? Most people haven't, and that's okay. You don't have to do that to qualify as a nomad or even as a camper. So, Facebook for meetups, propose a meetup. Now, what I did for this meetup that I'm hosting is I found a campsite that I liked, a group campsite, which means everybody does not have a hookup, everybody does not have a designated campsite. You pretty much have a parking lot, and then you have a huge playground all to yourselves. This one we're having ours at, there will not be other campers, it will be only us at this. We have reserved the entire thing. So what you have to do, the drawback to hosting it yourself is you have to pay for it first. And then, if you build it, they will come, and then enough people come that it will help you pay for the cost, because it was a little over $300 to rent the campground that we're going to be at. First meetup, first solo trip that isn't a music festival, right? Well, maybe we can have some music. Maybe we can do that. If anybody has musical instruments, feel free to bring them. I almost hate to say that, because I've been to some, like, for example, karaoke's where you wish they had a gong, if you know what I mean. But I think once you get around the campfire, everybody's going to have a good time. Everybody seems really excited about it. I love it that there are first timers there. This last meetup, the first meetup that I went, the one that I did the 7 van tours video on, one of my first videos, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do a van tour. The first woman that I interviewed, I figured it out after that. I kept interrupting her, which I won't do again. I'll let you tell your story. And I was so embarrassed to look back on that. But as I filmed through the 7 van tours, I figured out that I should shut up and let them talk. I was trying to be helpful, but what do I know? I was so new back then. It was my first meetup. And I hadn't been solo for very long at all. So I know the feeling of going to your first meetup. It's really exciting. I think everybody's going to have a great time. We are packed. We had a couple of people that canceled, just a couple of them, but they've already been replaced by people that are on the waiting list. So we are full up, and I hope nobody brings an extra vehicle, like I'll just bring one friend, no one will notice, and it will be, they might get run out by the Rangers, I don't know, but it's going to be really a lot of fun. So, do we have anybody got any questions? I've been just jabbering on for about 30 minutes now. Let's see if you've got questions. One thing I want to work on this week, I'm so slammed since I got back to Florida with little business things like, insurance and just getting caught up on little business things like, well, not just business. I've got to get appointments with doctors that I've been putting off, all that kind of thing. Just your annual checkup and my car tag. Oh my goodness. I renewed my car tag online, and they sent it to me and I never got it. So now I'm running around looking like my car is out of date when it's not, if they look it up. And that policeman didn't even notice. He didn't notice that my tag was out of date. He may have run the tag. Don't they usually do that? He may have run the tag and seen that it was not out of date. There's a cave at the event? No, a cave? I don't know. I didn't know that they had any caves in that area. It's near Silver Springs. Not real close, but it's in the Silver Springs area. Maybe they have some underground caves there. It's a beautiful, good-sized lake. Has a sandy beach. I don't know if anybody wants to swim there. We'll watch for alligators for you. And I noticed in the live chat we had for the meetup that there are people coming from as far away as Michigan. And I have some stickers that I will give away for certain things, like the person who comes from the farthest away is gonna get a sticker. I'm gonna be, Gina and I are gonna be wearing the new Butterfly Tracks t-shirts, which I haven't really, I'll put that in a post sometime. I'll show it to you. I haven't got everything settled. I've been rushing around. I've been so busy. My dance card is full. But I'm getting things knocked off that list one at a time. I'm even gonna get the front of my car detailed next week. After a year of living in it, it needs it. So just the front. I can take care of the back. A cave at the event. That, Gina, that's fascinating. I don't know. Do you know? You heard it. What do you mean? Tell me more. 3-day fishing license. Oh, thank you. Anyone can get a 3-day fishing license online because it is a fishing lake right there. Yes, please. You can still ask questions about the meetup. Absolutely. I mean, we want to keep things kind of private because this will be online after we finish this talk today. This will be online, available for people to look at, so don't ask anything too personal. I do have an email for my YouTube channel now. It's butterflytracks@aol.com. I think Butterfly Tracks would have been taken anywhere but AOL, because who has AOL anymore? Just me. I must be the last one with an AOL email address. I think you're typing, right? CK Kirby 943 asking a question about the meetup. Well, it is going to be private there. It's just us girls. And guys come around. Well, any guy that comes around is probably a ranger, so we'll have to let him in. Bring things like my pop-up screen room, or is the space more limited? And how early can I arrive? Those are good questions. You can definitely bring a pop-up screen room or anything freestanding that can be put out in the group area. This campsite is made for, just a good example would be like a Boy Scout troop who would put up a bunch of tents all out in the grassy area there. Or a church group, or, you know, events like, I don't know, a wedding or big, huge birthday parties or something. So it's made for people to set tents up out there. The thing is, the parking lot, you know, there's plenty of room. In the last one that I was at here, and at Travel Grandma's out in Colorado, it was a parking lot plus a big area. That's what group camping is. It's not individual sites. What time can you arrive? Let's see. Well, they say 3 o'clock, but I'm going to be there at 2 o'clock, so we can kind of push it a little bit. And because I know it's going to be just a slight amount of chaos, because a lot of first-time people, and they don't know where they are, and where should they park, and where's this, and where's that, and lots of questions. I'm buying pizza for everybody the first night. We'll have it delivered. So if you want to bring snacks for while we're waiting, we'll put them out on the table, and that'll be the only really planned potluck that we have. Snacks or desserts or something, because I don't know, I think we had to wait quite a while the last meetup there that they had the pizza delivered, so that you don't have to worry about cooking that first night. Watching here from Tallahassee, Florida. Well, Petunia, Romania, you are fairly close here. Tallahassee. I came through Tallahassee on my way to Florida. I stayed in a Motel 6 there just to make it easy. Yeah, you know, I've stayed in a couple of Motel 6s because my main reasoning is they don't charge me an extra $25 to $50 per dog. Plus they're cheap anyway, and I always ask for a ground floor where I can park right in front. Since everything I have is in there, I park right in front of the door, so anytime I want to, I can look outside, and their parking lots are always, you know, lit up like daytime time, and everybody's always been nice, and I haven't been to one yet that wasn't clean. And they're not fancy. I mean, they don't have beautiful pictures on the wall and everything, but they're clean, and I don't see anything wrong with them. They're cheap and free. It'll be dark an hour earlier the day we check in. Yeah. Ooh, gosh, that's right. Yeah, I'd rather not stay in a hotel. I really would. It was because I don't know. I think I can't. I'm trying to remember the reason why I thought that was important. My Bluetti wasn't working great. I needed to plug it in. That was one thing I needed to do. I needed to take a shower, and I wanted to wash the dogs. I needed a bathtub. So all of the above was a reason that time to break down and get a hotel room. Yeah, no, I've heard of bed bugs. I've never seen one. Thank goodness. Slightly needy and must be near a bathroom. Yeah, I think as ladies get older, maybe the guys too, a bathroom's a good thing. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, that was another thing, you know, just having all the conveniences right there close by. And as far as getting campgrounds, I think I missed saying that way back a few subjects. When I was traveling, rather than getting a campsite where you got to set up, I mean, I'm just gonna sleep there. I'm gonna travel the next day, so getting a campground just seems silly. If all I want to do is sleep, all I need is a parking spot. That's why truck stops are my favorite, and casinos. I've mentioned those before. Casinos are great because you're pretty much welcome there. You can ask. A lot of them even want you to register at a casino, where they'll, just for your own safety, they're going to ask maybe your license number. You fill out a form. They want your phone number in case anything happens. And they have security in the parking lot. And I thought that was great. They got good food inside, which isn't expensive. So those are nice. Hi, Cece Camper Lady from South Carolina. Let's see, I was going to say something else about the campsites. Oh, yes, another thing kind of along that line of why I didn't, not even if I could have afforded it, it didn't seem like a good idea to make a reservation when you're just going to sleep there and then you're going to go do other things. But when I go to a truck stop, I like to get there early enough, or any place I'm going to stay for the night. I like to get there early enough so I can sort of case out the joint, see what kind of people hang out there. I mean, are there any troublemakers around? Does it look like I just want to get the feel of the place to see if it's going to be comfortable for me to stay there. And that's why I liked to arrive early at the places that I'm going to sleep at night. And I think that's a very good rule, really. If you possibly can, don't just arrive at a Cracker Barrel or a casino or truck stop late at night like you would in a stealth situation. Portable potty in my van, it's a must. Yes. I have a new one that I will be debuting to show everybody at the meetup. I think it has more than one purpose and one challenge we're going to have when we're there. I want to see how everybody gets in and out of their rig. Do you have a step ladder? Do you climb in? Which door do you? That's where we're going to start. How do you get in and out of your rig? That'll be fun. Built-in shower. Oh. I'm working full-time, so travel excursions are limited. Yeah, that darn job kind of limits things, right? Moved into my van this past February. Oh, so you're living in your van and you're working. Well, I think that's a great... How's that working out for you? It's probably saving you money, right, Petunia? I've heard of a lot of people doing that. And then they move from... At least I've seen videos of people that do that to save money. But then you have to move from place to place the way I understand it. But if you've got a few good places to hang out, that's great. You know, I put up a post this week, just a couple of days ago. 4 walls. What do those 2 words mean to you? You know, we hear about sticks and bricks or van life, but 4 walls, they mean different things to that phrase, those 2 words means different things to different people. And if you look at that survey, that questionnaire or whatever you call it, I think I call it a survey, get some pretty interesting answers. Very few, well less than a quarter, I believe it was. I haven't looked at it recently. I should have. Less than a fourth of them said that it meant that 4 walls to them meant security. More than half, I think. Well, the biggest answer was I need to get out more. That 4 walls were limiting and they needed to get out more. And the third option was prison. 4 walls means prison to me. That's what it was to me when I was in what I would think of as 4 walls, a stationary location. 4 walls. Just looking at those 4 walls, it just kind of, they were closing in on me. And I know there are a lot of women out there that feel that way. They want to break free and go see the world. Yeah, so many older women, and I hear from them all the time, how they've raised their kids, they may or may not still have a husband, but they just want to go see the world. I had my first solo camping trip in my minivan this weekend. Oh, you say first solo. Was this your first camping trip or just your first solo trip? By the way, I have to go, but before I leave, I loved your story about the machine stops. I got the book. Well, good. You know, I should have reread that book. I remembered it so well from when I was probably 11 years old. The Machine Stops. And they've made several different movies that were really based on that little novella, I believe it was called when it first started out. And it's not just closer to the surface of the earth, like I said in that old video of mine. It's not just closer to the surface of the earth, it's out in the world rather than in those 4 walls. And to me, that's a huge difference. You know, one rather rude commenter said he'd rather poke his eye out than have to sleep in a minivan. Okay, well, that was kind of mean, but I know I live in my minivan right now. I travel. I don't feel like I live in it. I travel in my minivan. It's my sleeping pod. Now, most people in your sticks and bricks, whether it's apartment or whatever it is, you measure your living room in square feet. You know, so many feet by feet. My living room, I would have to measure by thousands and thousands of square acres. And my living room is North America. So my living room's bigger than theirs, if they want to ask about it, because I really don't have 4 walls. I just have a sleeping pod back here. And my cocoon and the butterfly, when the doors open, that's when I'm free, when those doors open, and I have really enjoyed it. Let's see, I left in December of last year, so while I'm trying to think out loud here, don't make me do the math. I I moved in here in the middle of December last year, so I'm coming up on a year before much longer. And I've had some questions. People seem to think it's it doesn't seem to compute when I've only been doing YouTube for, looked at that for a while, 6 months or more, because the first several months I wasn't doing YouTube. I was taking a little bit of video here and there, but I didn't know if I really wanted to do it or get in front of that camera, you know. I'd been behind the camera before, but not so much in front of it. And I'm glad I did, because my goodness, I've met so many wonderful people, like all of you in here now, and I really appreciate you being here. Let's go back. Dodge Grand Caravan with a raised top. Dodge Grand Caravan, a minivan with a raised top? Wow. Sold my house and paying off debt, and the storage space behind the driver's seat was turned into a basin you step into. Well, wow. Oh, I want to see that. We need a van tour for sure. Oh, that's really fascinating. And when I was saying that one of the first things we're gonna do, we're gonna have a little, you know, we're gonna go around and see how everybody gets in and out of their, whatever their rig is. You know, if you have a Class B, you know, we know how you get in and out. But I am interested in the ways that people who have designed their own rig, whatever kind of rig it is, how do you get in and out of your rig? Because I think that could be kind of funny. First solo trip without your husband. Aha. Okay, well, I'll ask you about that one later. We'll see. In fact, at the 7 van tours that I did, the last van tour was a woman whose husband had been ill, and she and he had been RVing. They had a Class B, and they had been RVing for 40 years, I think she said, off and on, 30 or 40 years. And this trip was her very first time solo in all those years because he wasn't feeling well. And she said it was pretty exciting, so I thought that was really cute. The storage space is for showering and has holes for drainage. It's working good, but I'm having trouble with my solar system. Do you have a Bluetti by any chance, having trouble with your solar system? Or maybe you have a built-in. Your sleeping area isn't working, so that's the biggest problem I have. Oh, yeah, anybody planning on doing this, or even if you're already doing it, your number one priority is safety. But right up there with that, most nights you would say it's above safety, is a truly comfortable bed. And I did a little video on mine. Mine works for me. Everybody's different, you know, and who knows, someday I may do something different. But we're going to film all this. So these ideas that I'm talking about, we're going to get on film as far as getting in and out and moving around in a minivan, because that's the thing people can't even imagine, is how in the world do you live in such a small space? How do you move around? Aren't you crunched over? Don't you sit like this? Well, you see how I'm sitting here? I have room. I have room above my head. Same way in my bed back there. If you were sitting back there, if the original seating was still in my minivan, you would have lots of headroom. And you don't have to sit like this in a minivan. I do not crawl on my knees in my minivan. I'll show you how I get in and out. That'll be a video, and those at the meetup will see. I do not get in on my knees. I mean, I have in the past a couple of times, but that's not the way I want to do it. Sleeping area stink. I wonder why it's not working. Mattress? Do you level your minivan when needed? Thinking about it. I'm sure you mean the wheels, not the interior, right? The floor of my minivan was not leveled. Some people do that, and then they have storage below, and then they can access it through like a trap door. I chose not to do that. I did not level the floor. My floor goes, let's see if you can see my hand, it goes like that, and it slopes down a little bit. So it's higher in the back, like most minivans are. And I just adjusted the bed. Gary and Gina helped me cut the legs of the bed off so that it made it level. Now, if you look at my video about, the tires, yeah, I'll get to that in just a second. I'm still on the bed. Once the bed was level on the floor, you should watch that video of mine. It's like an adjustable bed. The head of it will come up a little, and because the head is raised just a little bit, I've never noticed when it wasn't level, unless it's front to back. If it's level, it doesn't matter if it's that level front to back because my head is raised. Now, side to side, the worst thing would be if it was the passenger side was down, where I'd roll out of bed. That's the only the only situation where it not being level would bother me, because the head of the bed is up. Now, leveling the tires, no, I've never had to do that. Never had to do that. I can either pick a spot. Oh, there was one time I used a rock. It was just actually it was a couple of flat rocks, and that's all it took to level it. So I guess I've been lucky that way. I know some people take levelers and all that. It may be because it doesn't, a minivan doesn't have that big of a footprint. I suspect that may be why. Happiest people I've met in travels are nomads. The most miserable are my relatives and friends in the sticks and bricks. I've been a nomad for 6 months now, and I wouldn't go back to sticks. You know, I even have people on videotape, the van tours that I've done. Even Danny, that man that was in a Class B, Danny, his van tour. At the very end, I asked him what does he see his future like for his nomad life, and he says he can't even imagine going back to a stationary dwelling. And many of the early videos that I did, people always said they couldn't imagine it. Sherry in her high top van, who was in what's that movie? Nomadland. She was in the movie Nomadland. She's a friend of Bob Wells. I did her van tour, and at the end she said that people were always wanting to help her get out of her van and get a real place, and she said she wasn't going to do it. That was like a death sentence for her. This was real life to her, being out in the open. She couldn't even imagine being trapped in a house, was I believe exactly what she said. And Cindy's van tour, she said the same thing. And people that I've met along the way, you know, once you really feel freedom, it's, you know, there are drawbacks. You know, there are things, a lot of things are hard to do while you're out here. So if you don't like challenges and you don't like having to figure things out, then don't do it. You know, stay in the four walls. You'll be happier. But you know, some people just need to go. I've had conversations with women in the comments and various other ways that and in person, that the urge to go for them was so strong. They had to. I mean, Cindy was another one like that. She wanted to know what it felt like to be free. And then at the end she says, so I did. And one of my favorite t-shirts, it says in big bold, it's a black t-shirt with white lettering on it, and it says, she thought she could, so she did. And that was as simple as it was to me. I thought I could, so I did. Your eggs went to one side of the pan. Maybe you cook inside. You know, I don't think I haven't ever, other than standing at my sliding door over here and putting my butane stove on my little refrigerator right there, and then having all the doors open. And I've only done that a couple of times. Other than that, I don't cook inside, not in a minivan, but I've seen people who do. Rainy, oops, that's Susie. Where you going, baby? Okay, here she is. She's gonna photobomb. Come here, Susie. Let me get her up here. She's been sick. My little baby's been sick. I was walking her the other day, and she, you know, her tiny little nose is close to the ground, and she picked up something and swallowed, and was eating it and swallowed it before I could even come close to getting to her. And it made her so sick, and I don't even want to tell you the details of how awful it was. I would just say that I had to wash every bit of my bedding and pretty much every piece of cloth, and you know, everything in my van. It was horrible. She was both ends. It was terrible, but she's getting better now. She's not seeing as well as she used to. Her sight's not so good. She kind of runs into things now. But other than that, you wouldn't know she was elderly. Raining in Oregon. I hope your fires are over there, Richard. I know you had some for a while, but I think that's been a while that you had the fires there. Don't miss your house, just having a bed, but I'm working on it. Yep, you got to get that bed right. A lot of people think they're going to go the easy way and put a cot in. Yeah. I haven't seen anybody that's kept with a cot. You know, if you find one at a thrift store and you want to try it for a while, yeah, don't put him in a cot. They sag, yeah, it's not flat, not level. People want to help me to leave this lifestyle. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard for people to understand if they don't have that urge. Not everybody has that urge. You know, I mean, not everybody's the same, thank goodness. I mean, if nobody wanted, for example, if nobody wanted to make shoes ever, then what are we going to do? If nobody wanted to cook, what would we do? You know, so I'm glad there's a variety of people in this world. You know, we can't all be nomads. Not everybody wants to, and that's okay. Nomads get to make anywhere, home sweet home, with a view at that. I hadn't read that yet, and I was just going to say, you can change your view all the time. That's true. I can have any view when I don't have to decorate. I can just look around. That's right. Mini hot plate with a tiny pan, electric. Well, that's nice. That would be good. I have a, what's it called? Slow cooker thing, that's 12 volt. Can't think of it right now. It'll come to me as soon as we're done. Anyway, I haven't really used that. I keep forgetting I have it. Yeah, here's Coco too. Come here, Coco. Come here. Let me see Coco. They don't usually get to get in alive. And here's my little Miss Coco. She needs another shave. I've been to, oh, that's something I hadn't really mentioned that much. She could use another grooming. That's Coco. That's my mom's dog. Yeah, I know she's saying, let me off here. I don't want to be on camera. I have been taking my dogs, in case anybody has them. We're getting close to the time we need to close up, but I wanted to tell you that I think it's a good tip that I have taken my dogs to PetSmart. Because PetSmart is associated with, what's the vet's name? I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, PetSmart has your records then. And if you go to the vet that they have associated with them, then they'll always have your records anywhere you go in the country. They'll have your pet's records for shots and whatever their records are. And if you want to get grooming there, they'll have those records too, and they'll say, oh, Coco and Susie, do you want the same thing you got last time? Last time they didn't do a very good job, but I mean, that's across the country. You're going to get different people. Anyway, that's a little tip. Inside your rig, Dreamer. Yeah, into lake water. Yeah, they can get onto all kinds of things. No telling what Susie picked up and ate. I mean, think of anything really nasty, horrible, and it could have been anything. Dogs have fur brains, what can we say? I think the one in Oak Ridge is out now. Oh, the fire, yeah. Yeah, sometimes they last a really long time. I was really lucky this year. I didn't go to any areas where we had smoke. I know they had fires in New Mexico quite a bit, but they weren't in the part of the state that I was in. I think they were more to the west than where I was. And the south, maybe. So I just was lucky all the way around. If you watch my videos and see the skies everywhere, I'm so lucky with weather. Inverter isn't working again. I'll be able to cook, keep hot water kettle ready for tea and coffee. Yes. Nice chatting. Happy travels to everyone. Bye, Petunia. See you next time. Hope we meet sometime. Yes, we've been on for an hour, and the last live I did, I edited some. I don't know if I'll be able to, because we really did talk a lot this time. I don't like to spend too much time starting the video and ending the video. Those are always awkward for me. It takes a second for it to go off, so I try to cut it down a little bit. So, anybody else have anything? Any questions? Any suggestions? November's going to be a big month for the Butterfly Tracks channel. I'll be introducing our stickers and t-shirts and sweatshirts and that sort of thing. Lots and lots of videos. I'm glad you came live too, CC Camper Lady. Happy travels, everybody. Bye. See you next Sunday. Sunday at 4 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to try to turn this out without being too terribly awkward. So it usually takes a minute. Happy to catch you live. Happy trails to all. Bye-bye.